Picture a little child going off for his first day of school on the school bus. Now, look at that as what it really is. It's the parents saying to the child, "Go, God," from us to gods, sending you out there into a world of gods who are roaming around a world of all this miraculous stuff, these miraculous beings, these living things everywhere around us, doing their own things in their own manner, behaving the way they can, trying to interact with each other the best they can. And when you really realize that that's what it is instead of what we're making it out to be, it becomes so beautiful at the same time as it's so heartbreaking, because we're a race of people that have learned to hate what we create. We create it, then hate it. And it's not just because it's our rhyming thing. I didn't think of it because it's rhyming. It just, maybe just deep down, naturally it is, but besides the point. Like, there's things that we make and then we don't like them. Like, say you go out and you cause yourself trouble. You caused that, and then you hate it about yourself, and then you hate yourself. But the funny thing is, if you look at it at one level, it would be like, say the parents are mad at the child, and they're mad at the child for what he turned out to be, so they sort of, in a way, maybe they don't hate, they dislike. So we're just going to use the word hate, because that's a word that people easily say without knowing what it really means. But I don't hate anything. But when I say we as a collective, I mean we as people. There's a lot of people out there who say they hate stuff, unfortunately. But let's say they hate what they create. The parents are disappointed in the child they created. Most people, at a certain point in their life, they're disappointed with themselves, which is the life they created for themselves, whether they follow along with somebody else telling them to, whether they feel like somebody pushed them and bullied them to make them do it, or whether they felt they had to do it following some religious path, or whether they just bumbled along the way and ended up where they are. Sometimes each person is going to face a day where they feel like they don't like themselves, and that's hating what they created themselves. But then if you look at it even on a deeper level, not just the parents to the child, not just the self to the person, let's say what God is as that person. When you hate what you create, you are God hating yourself. I mean, the main God that isn't broken up into spiritual pieces, then astral pieces, then all the pieces that have overtaken every entity of blade of grass to human being to, minute little like low vibrational things like, ashes, and until they're smushed until they're particles again, or like, let's say, a piece of paper, which is pretty, miraculous, so it's not really that low of a vibrational thing, but it depends on how long it's been sitting in say you have a piece of paper ripped out of a notebook from 10 years ago, and it's just sitting there getting crusty, and it's dried up and flaky, you know what I'm talking about, or a 200,000-year-old scroll, how weak the paper is, usually if it's just sitting out in the natural elements to be dried out, it'll be dust by then, but you know what I'm saying. So, like, from every main thing to every major thing is God. So, without breaking it down into all those pieces, like the main source itself doesn't hate himself, doesn't hate itself, doesn't hate herself, doesn't hate self. Loves unconditionally all things, no matter what it ended up doing with that piece of particle that it was allowed to control. It doesn't get mad at a rabid animal. That's nature. We look at that and say, nature, rabid animal, something made it go bad, But then we see people, and we're like, throw him in a cell because something made him do something bad. Whether it was another person who talked him into it, they're like, oh, that's who talked him into it? They were part of it? Accomplice? Put them in the cell too. You don't understand that we understand that a rabid animal, yeah, just shoot it. No. If we don't see a rabid animal, it dies off in the woods, or it just goes nuts, or we don't even know. There's so many things going on in other elements of the world and other universes of the world. I mean, I'll tell you, I've experienced some crazy things that I never would have thought of, like what the life of each thing. A life of a snail is pretty intense. The life of a shark is super intense. The life of any ocean-dwelling thing is intense, and I've experienced that. That's what's so awesome about not becoming, just realizing who you are, realizing what we are. We are everything and all things around us and all things about us. All things we don't even know yet will come to you once you let it. You let it and you just allow it. Yes, you have to come back to the real world and what we call the real world, and you have to act proper so that you can play along in this life game. And it's not just a game, because it's the most beautiful part of living. So realizing that you're spirit, realizing that you're that one thing besides the human body is beautiful, because then you realize that when you die you can continue on. But at the same time, you realize how beautiful it is, because this body and this sensual being that can feel and touch and grab and control and jump and all those cool things, and not just like an animal can jump, but like a person can jump, because we can use our hands to create things. We can play video games. We can, make love in a way that's so passionate and take hours and hours to do it, instead of being like an animal that jumps on another animal, holds it down and bites it and, humps its butt. You know what I mean? Not its butt, you know what I mean. But I'm saying, and I didn't mean to get on that topic, but I'm saying, like, we have such beautiful things about living that's what makes you realize that even though you do continue on as spirit, and then you can go to something else, and you will live again, and you do live again, because you are doing it right now, and you're all those things that you're going to be when you are them. Even though they haven't been born yet, or even though they've already died, you're going to be all those things when you realize it and you allow them to be. And all things will come to you when you focus your personal human energy on them. But then you decide what to focus it on. No matter if people say, well, you have to use your energy and if you have these powers, you have to prove it to me. Well, if you do that, then you're falling into the trap. And the problem is, no matter who it is, they fall into the trap. I will, over and over and over, because I will see a pretty girl or see a sad child that needs help, and it's not the trap in a bad way, but it's like giving in to the fact that nothing matters. Because if I don't see that kid crying, I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Well, yes, it does. It's just I'm not there to do it. And if all people felt the way I felt, then they would help that child. And if all people felt the way I felt, they would help that homeless person, whoever they would call a bum, or they would help that person, or they would let that person be, or they would feel the energy of that person and either feel they had to involve themselves or leave themselves out. And they would do that. They would consider every moment as valuable as every moment really truly is, instead of letting each moment go like they do. So I hope that means something to you guys. I mean, it really does. And I unconditionally love us. We're so magnificent. And every day as time goes on, I'm seeing more. And I'm listening to the wind blow, and I'm hoping it's not messing up the recording. The birds are flying against the wind like a wind treadmill. Like, that's how a bird gets exercise. It's like, hey, one's jumping backwards, one's walking forwards, one's flying against the wind and staying in place like he's jogging bird style. It's the most beautiful thing. Two birds are feeding each other. One's eating breadcrumbs. It's like, and the birdhouse is swaying in the wind. The leaves are all dancing like they do. The flowers are jigging around. The wood in a pile is just looking beautiful. That was once a tree, ready to be burned and returned back to the earth so it can see what its next life cycle is. Although it doesn't know that. It doesn't know that there's a person who's a realized being talking to that wood and blessing it, and that when it burns, it's going somewhere better because it has that vibration around it. And that's what happens around me. And people that feel negative, like even my mom and dad, it's not like just because I've been a realized being that they're going to have things happen. Yes, at times they will. And when they really get me and listen to me, they will feel amazing. But because they've been, I don't want to use the word program, because my parents are real living people, and they're not robots, and they're not whatever. So it's not that. But because of the belief systems they've been around, the things that they allowed themselves to keep looking into, keep watching zombie stories or unsolved mysteries about crimes that haven't been solved. The guy that popped up behind a girl in her car and raped her and stabbed her 15 times with the scissors, like, I'm not trying to say that to be gross, and it's unfortunate that kind of stuff has happened. So much gross and horrible things have happened, or will still happen, because not everybody's going to realize what's going on right now. No one is ever going to realize it all until we all start as one unity as people, not just a country, not just a city, not just a planet, and just everything. It doesn't even matter what words they are. We have to really come together and say, listen, we understand that love is what makes life worth living. It doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter if you have money, doesn't matter if you can do this or do that. If you want to keep doing it, then do it. You don't have to. No one's going to make you do it. The corporate world shouldn't force anybody to do anything. Kids shouldn't have to go to school. But Parents should only want to have kids if they want to raise an intelligent kid. So it would be up to the parents and the people who can help the parents help the kids. That's what it should be up to. It shouldn't be somebody's job to appoint people to teach other people's kids. Think about it. There shouldn't be a school, but every parent should be a parent and stay home, work from home, literally work from home for themselves, make whatever they can for themselves, and if they can make more of what they can for themselves, the buildings are still there, so people would have to agree on how to split the things equally without money. People that work for it and keep doing it and decide to do it, let whoever wants to do it, do it. And over time, people will say, well, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Be like, okay, well, I'll come back a little bit later. Like, we'll still keep time schedules just so we can keep track of stuff. And be like, well, I'll come back later and run it. And they'll put up a little schedule on the wall and say, such and such is serving this restaurant at this time. Whoever comes, comes, They can give money, because we can still use money as a means of ways to do things, to put into machines like arcade games, or to put into things to give us the 3D glasses, make machines that run off money. But money doesn't have the value it has. You won't kill somebody over money, because you can just say, hey man, can I have a couple dollars so I can play this thing? And someone will say, yeah, sure, I have some. And if they don't have it, they'll make some. They'll have a money maker. We can have things that we consider of value, even grass, mulch, something like that, that'll take mulch and turn it into money. Or we'll do stuff because we'll be smart enough to focus on what really matters, not on what makes us more valuable to other people and their opinions. We're not as dumb as people make themselves out to be. And no individual person is stupid. Everybody has great ideas. It's just they don't have all great ideas. Think about it. People are worth loving. And I'm going to say it until the day I lose this privilege of being Dan Alexander in this human body, is God incarnated as Dan Alexander, as God among all other gods that haven't realized who they are yet. And I'm going to take every moment I can to keep saying this. When I'm around certain people who don't want to hear it, I guess I won't do it. I'll play along with their game, but I choose that. I choose to keep feeding into whatever I'm feeding into. If I get hurt over my kid, being hurt, then yes, it's because I really mean it, because my emotions are real, and I feel what people feel, and I want to help my kid understand that this is all part of the learning process. And I'm trying to say that to them right now every day, but they don't listen. And even if I say it this heartfelt, I say the same things that I'm saying to my kids, but just in different ways. And they're not listening because they're not there yet. They haven't experienced the things that are offered to life in this vast array of ooh, that's so fascinating. Ooh, look at that cool thing. Ooh, I wish I could do that forever. No, you don't. If you could do that same thing forever, no matter what it is, if you could fuck nonstop all day, every day, you'd want to stop, because your body would hurt. And even if your body didn't hurt, you'd be like, there's other things I want to do. And even if you could eat the most delicious food every time you ate, you wouldn't want to eat it anymore. Even if you could bounce on the trampoline as a 3-year-old child, well, I love the trampoline. And after a while, you wouldn't anymore. But maybe as a child, without being pre-programmed, you'd find other things about the trampoline, and you would be you'd bounce on the trampoline until you got hungry. You'd get off and you eat something. You'd see something that would attract your attention. You'd do that. Why? Because there's nobody telling you what you got to do with your time. But there's people that'll help you understand how to talk and communicate. That's what we should be doing. It's not a dumb idea. It's a perfect idea, because God himself says so. God itself, God herself. God self says that. That's what we should be doing. We should be teaching our kids ourselves. We should be helping each other teach their kids and other people around them. Kids are kids no matter what age. Whoever wants to learn can learn from somebody. If somebody feels that somebody knows or has something about them that they want to learn or be somewhat like, that's what they should learn. They shouldn't learn a subject from a teacher. They should find a person that just calls out to them from something they do. And they should find something in that person to say, listen, I want to become your friend, and I would like to, get to know you, and in a way, learn some of how you look at life. That's what learning is. You look at life the way people that are showing you how they look at life, or, interpret the things they've studied, but that's how they've looked at their life. And that's all that you're doing. All you're doing is listening to somebody who's concentrated on something. And for a long enough time to the point where you're like, oh, I'm going to listen to them because they know what they're talking about. Well, you can know what you're talking about stuff that isn't in a textbook, because you put your effort and focus on it, and you've learned about what life is, not just what is written in the books. It was written just means everything that's been written down happens now, because people focused on it enough. Everything that hasn't been written down is happening, all of it, on some plane of consciousness. Imaginary, dream, astral, physical. I think you're starting to get what I'm saying. Vibrational, sound, cellular, molecular. All these things that you don't see are happening. And they are happening. When you become a cell, when you become a bacteria, you're doing something that you would think would happen on another planet, right? Right. When you're an ant walking around in the green grass, it doesn't seem anything like the human being walking on that same green grass. No, it doesn't. It's a different universe. It's a different dimension. And you live that. When you become oneness and you tap into it, when you can really focus your meditation, you can go anywhere, be anything, do any idea, and become it, and jump inside that idea, and keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. You can go into a black line, turn it into a white line halfway through that's black underneath. You know what I mean? You can just get deeper and deeper and deeper in the dark. You can get deeper and deeper and deeper in the light. You can get higher and higher in the light. You can get lower and lower in the dark. I mean, it's up to you what direction, what elevation. Whatever you go is your imagination. Like, you only climb a mountain because you see the mountain, and you go higher. You only go down a hill because you see this hill and you go lower. But the truth is, in your mind, if you've been convinced that that's there, yes, it's there. But in your spirit, there's more than that. No matter how far you go, there's more. No matter how deep you go, there's more. No matter how high you go, there's more. Because you are creating it. Just because you're in a body doesn't mean that your spirit isn't creating it. It just has done it all. It's doing it all now. With each particle of you, each human being around you, each animal around you, each plant, each tree, everything around you, each water molecule around you is keeping the memory of what's going on. So what you want it to be is what it will become. What you want it to be is what it is right now. What the consensus of all of us together have wanted to be, whether we like to admit it or not, is what it is right now. Whether they fear it or whether they love it. It's what most people think it is. That's what life is, on a whole. But when you break off and you do your own thing, your life is your own. And that's a beautiful thing. You can be in the game playing, owning a business, which I'm doing. I have 6 kids that I love more than anything. I have my parents, my brothers, I love them more than anything. I say that those are just words, but I mean those words like those words say. And how can I love more than one thing, more than anything? Because nothing isn't loved. It should be. I love nothing. But at the same time, anything, we know what that means in words. You would think that anything is more than nothing. I love them more than anything. So I love them more than all things. They are all things to me because we are all one. I love all things. The people who are closer to me are close to me because they've been around me. I feel their vibration. Boom. I shouldn't have to explain that. The people who haven't been around me, I love them unconditionally too. And when they get around me, I'll show them that. If they show me negativity, it's naturally going to repel them from me. Not no fault of my own, not no fault of their own. They just haven't gotten to whatever point of their life that makes them feel lovable or loving towards me. And that's fine. Totally fine. I'll back off, or they'll back off, or, they'll get angry, and I'll say, listen, I'm just leaving. I won't interact with somebody in a violent way. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make me a pussy or a sissy. I'm very strong, and I can fight. And I've never lost a fight. Ever. I've been held down once, and that's it. Held down. Woo. Didn't really lose, just got held down. And then broken up by a teacher, which I kept wanting to go, but the person just once I was broken up and I had space to swing, they backed up. But it doesn't matter. I don't even know why I tell that story. I'll edit it out. But the problem with, I don't want to say the problem. The beauty. The beauty of life is people don't understand it yet. Once you understand it, it's love, and it's everything we've ever wanted it to be and more. So, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go for a walk in nature. And I'm going to love my mom and dad. I'm going to record a song. And I'm going to keep living life because it's so beautiful. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Experiencing, creating. Not repeating. Not dreading. Not being depressed. Let go of all that stuff. Start thinking about what you want, and that's where it happens. You think about what you want, you decide that's what it is, and you head for it. No matter what gets in your way, you don't hurt them. You just tell them, hey, excuse me, I got this. This is where I'm going. Don't let money bother you anymore. Find a way, and not in a negative way. Find a way. Let time take its course. If you die this time, you'll do it next time. Because deep down, if that's what your karma is doing, it's going to do it this life or the next, or this life or the next life. It's not, karma is the continuous action. It's not what you did in your past life. It's what your soul has been wanting to do and what your spirit has been wanting to do all along. It's just once you tap into it, you know what your real karma is. The rest of it's just dharma. It's life going on around you and propelling you in the ways it propels you. Sometimes you don't mean to go a certain way, and you think you do. oh, I think I love this. I've been watching this show for 5 years. You watch it every Thursday, and sometimes it bores you, and you wish you were doing something else when you really think about it. But you're just doing it because you think. It's what you do. You get programmed. You program yourself over and over, every day, everything you do, every minute, you're programming yourself. So start programming yourself right now in a positive way. Don't program it. Don't look at it that way. Just start creating. Start understanding. I'm here for you. I love you. Peace. Have a very beautiful day every day.